can ILIA catch him? You know, that's what it is, and he definitely can. ILIA's very, especially with his approach. He really backs his strike and his boxing. He really knows that he will eventually find the chin, and he's stoic till that happens. You know what I mean? He is on task, and he doesn't. ILIA can, if he puts hands on anyone, like if he traps them, you know, gets them where they don't want to be, and lands a nice big shot.
Alexander Volkanovski, the man who fought both Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, just dropped bombshells on the anticipated clash. On the other hand, Colby Covington believes that Topuria has the ability to upset Islam Makhachev. He thinks Topuria could challenge Makhachev because the first fight between Makhachev and Volkanovski was very close. Many people thought Volkanovski won that fight, which shows that Makhachev is not unbeatable. Covington also points out that Makhachev didn't look great in his last fight against Dustin. He seemed beatable and not as invincible as before. Covington thinks this will make for an interesting fight.
You know, I think, I don't know, I think Topuria might upset him. I think he has the ability to upset him. That first Makhachev-Volkanovski fight was really close. A lot of people thought that Volkanovski won that fight. So, you know, I think the blueprint is out there for Makhachev. And I didn't think he looked that good in the last fight versus Dustin. I mean, he looked beatable. He didn't look like invincible. So, you know, I think that'll be an interesting fight.
Colby Covington further said that the key to the fight will be whether Makhachev can take Topuria down to the ground, or if Topuria is slippery enough to escape. He pointed out that Topuria has been taken down in a few of his past fights, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles Makhachev's wrestling.
I think that'll be the key to the fight. Can Makhachev get him to the ground, or is Topuria slippery enough to get away? Because he did get taken down in a couple of his fights, so.
However, Alexander Volkanovski said that the key to the fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev will be whether Ilia can catch Makhachev. He believes Ilia definitely has the ability to do so, especially with his striking. Volkanovski mentioned that Ilia is very confident in his boxing, and he trusts that he will eventually land a big shot. Even if things aren't going well for him, Ilia stays focused and keeps looking for that opportunity to land a punch.
Yeah, so it's look, it just comes to, can ILIA catch him? You know, that's what it is, and he definitely can. ILIA's very, especially with his approach. He really backs his strike and his boxing. He really knows that he will eventually find the chin, and he's stoic till that happens. You know what I mean? He is on task, and he doesn't, you know what I mean? He'll go, even if things aren't working, he's still going to try and find it. So
Volkanovski also discussed how Makhachev will likely be a tough matchup for Ilia. He pointed out that Islam can be very defensive and safe in his approach, and he'll know that Ilia has a puncher's chance. Volkanovski believes Makhachev will be cautious, playing it safe with Ilia, but also mentioned that the later rounds could be very difficult for Ilia if the fight goes that long. Despite that, Volkanovski believes Ilia can still knock out anyone in the lightweight division if he gets the chance to land a clean shot.
I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him, because Islam can be quite defensive and safe. I think he's going to know he needs to play it safe with Ilia, because he knows Ilia's going to have that puncher's chance. But I just think them later rounds, you know, is going to be very difficult for Ilia. So, but Ilia can, if he puts hands on anyone, like if he traps them, you know, gets them where they don't want to be, and lands a nice big shot, it's going to be game over. You know, I mean, he can knock out anyone, even in the lightweight division.
Volkanovski added that while he has heard about Ilia's grappling, he hasn't seen it tested at the highest level yet. He said that if Ilia can show good grappling, like defending takedowns against someone like Makhachev, his opinion could change. Volkanovski mentioned that he's basing his thoughts on what he knows so far, that Ilia has great knockout power and could catch Makhachev if he lands a big shot.
So, but yeah, I just believe that probably would be his only chance, just from what I've seen, right? Like you hear about him having really good grappling, and you hear things, and you won't know till I see that at the highest level. So if he starts out grappling Islam, or stop and takedown defense and things like that, then I'm going to be like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing something that I haven't really seen. So now you know, then my opinion might change within the first round. But yeah, I haven't really seen that, so I'm going to go with what I know, and I know he can hit hard. I felt it firsthand. Like, well, I didn't feel, actually, I don't remember it. But it's but yeah, it's again, if he puts his hands, he can definitely catch him. So It's just as dangerous as anyone in that lightweight division.
Jorge Masvidal showed full trust in ILIA's grappling abilities, saying he'd be willing to bet everything on him. Masvidal highlighted how strong ILIA's grappling is, particularly his ability to defend against takedowns. He noted that if an opponent attempts to take ILIA down but makes a mistake, there's a high chance ILIA will turn the tables and gain control, possibly putting the opponent in a tough spot.
I'd bet the house on ILIA. His grappling, offensively, it's very good. If like you shoot in on this guy's legs and you make a mistake and you're the one going for the takedown, he has a very good chance that he might put your ass to sleep.
Moreover, Alexander Volkanovski further said that ILIA committing to the lightweight division gives him a great opportunity to go straight for a title shot. He believes that by vacating his previous belt and fully focusing on lightweight, ILIA is positioning himself well to claim the next title fight. While he's not certain about the exact outcome, Alexander feels confident that this move will work out for ILIA.
And the fact that he's committing to the lightweight, I think that gives him the opportunity to go straight to the title shot. I think him committing to that and vacating the belt, I think that puts him in a good position to claim that next title fight. So yeah, so I think that's going to happen for him.
Arnold Allen shared that he'd be interested in seeing a fight between Islam Makhachev and ILIA Topuria. He understands why Islam might not want that matchup, as Islam is focused on facing top contenders and has dealt with last-minute opponents and replacements before. Arnold believes Islam is aiming to solidify his title reign and demonstrate his skills. He also noted that a win over ILIA would be a major achievement for Islam, making it a very impressive victory.
I'd like to see him fight Islam. I'd like to see him fight Islam, but I mean, I understand why Islam wouldn't want it, right? He wants to fight legit contenders, and he's had like featherweights, ex-featherweights, late notice guys, replacements. He wants to sort of solidify his title reign, but probably is no bigger fight than ILIA, right? If he goes and batters ILIA, it looks pretty good.
When it comes to a prediction, Allen mentioned that every time he's doubted someone, they've proved him wrong, so he's not going to make that mistake again. He thinks Islam will come out on top in the fight, but he also recognizes that it will be a challenging one for him.
Every time I've ruled him out, he proves me wrong, so I'm not going to do it again. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I think Islam wins and he gets ironed out, so, but yeah.
Javier Mendez believes that a fight between Islam Makhachev and Justin Gaethje would unfold differently because of Islam's more well-rounded skill set, especially in striking. Mendez highlighted Islam's ability to blend striking with submissions, making him a versatile fighter.
It definitely, in my opinion, would play out differently because they're not the same fighter. They're not the same fighter. Islam is more well-rounded than Khabib ever was, you know. So Islam is at the point where he's pound for pound #1 because he's well-rounded in all the areas. Khabib was not as well-rounded as Islam is in the striking. His attributes was the ground and the submission and how he can smother you and just, you know, make you feel like you're trapped and you can never get out. Islam doesn't have that type of game. He's got a different type of game. His game is incredible. It's submission level based more than anything. And as you've seen it with all his submissions, you know, it's different. It's different. They're not the same fight at all. It's an entirely different fight. Entirely different fight.
He also pointed out that Islam can exchange punches when necessary, but also has the ability to take opponents down, showing his adaptability in the cage. While Islam has strong wrestling, Mendez noted that MMA wrestling is a unique skill, which makes Islam an even more dangerous opponent for Gaethje.
In Islam, he can do it all. He can stand with him. He can take him down. He can do anything, you know. And you know, before anybody starts thinking about, well, you know, he's the Division I wrestler, this and that, but hey, he was a Division I wrestler that was wrestling with Jordan Burroughs, and that didn't help him with Khabib. So trust me, when you're talking MMA, there's a difference between just wrestling and MMA wrestling. Khabib was the master, second to none on MMA wrestling. And Islam, I'm going to say, is a close second. But they're different. But he's a close second when it comes to MMA wrestling.
Chase Hooper expressed that he was really impressed with Islam Makhachev's most recent performance, particularly his striking. He pointed out that unlike Khabib, who was primarily known for his grappling, Islam and other new Dagestani fighters, like Umar, are much more well-rounded in their skills. Hooper acknowledged that this makes them difficult opponents for everyone else in the division, but he still believes Islam will come out on top in his fights.
Honestly, I was really impressed. Islam's last time out, I felt like his striking was really improving. So I think that's like, especially when you look back at like Khabib's fights, like he's much more of a pure grappler. And then you see Islam and you see Umar and these newer generation Dagestani guys. I think they're a lot more well-rounded, which sucks for everybody else in the division. But I don't know. I think Islam still takes it.
Cody Brundage shared his thoughts on a potential fight between ILIA Topuria and Islam Makhachev, noting how impressive ILIA has been, particularly with his knockouts of high-profile opponents like Holloway and Volkanovski. He mentioned that if ILIA were to knock out Islam as well, it would elevate him to legendary status, potentially putting him in the top 3 of all time.
It's a crazy fight. You know, we talked about that. You know, Yusuf obviously at 145, he's on a tear. He's making his come up, and he wants that ILIA fight so bad. They already fought once, but we were talking about if ILIA goes in and knocks out Islam Makhachev, like how high do we put him on the GOAT list, right? Like to me, I'm like, John Jones is number 1 no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously, it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up there like top 3.
However, Brundage also emphasized that while some may underestimate Ilya's grappling, he's actually a highly skilled wrestler and black belt with a strong submission game. Despite this, Brundage predicted that Islam would likely come out on top in the fight, mainly because of his size advantage. He believes that weight could play a key role when both fighters possess such a high level of skill. Overall, he expects the matchup to be an exciting and closely contested battle.
And he could do it. I think people, like, he's been knocking all these people out. People really sleep on Ilya's grappling. He's a super high level black belt with really good submissions, really good wrestling. And so I think people are worried, like saying, like, oh, well, he'll get out wrestled, but he has great wrestling. So, man, I don't know. I would have to go with Islam because he's bigger. And I think weight maybe plays a factor when you have 2 really highly skilled guys. But that would be an absolute banger of a fight.
So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.